Hi, Mark. Mark Chapeskie.
You got it. Yep.
Oh my gosh, that is
Yeah.
wonderful. Thank you. Well, thanks for stopping by. It's great to be here, isn't it?
Thank you for having me. It is lovely to be here.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're at the ETC conference, and is this your first year attending, or?
No, I've been coming to ETC on and off for about 8 years. Actually.
Really?
Yeah.
So what do you get the most out of attending these?
For me, honestly, it's the networking opportunities. I feel like after 8 years now, like we've been talking about a number of the same things. The sessions are interesting, but really it's the opportunity to connect with different folks from across the industry and hear about what's going on in their different companies and their different organizations.
Now, your organization, you focus on the labor force market in the renewable energy sector?
Broadly across the electricity sector, but that of course includes the
Right.
renewable energy space. Yeah.
So tell everyone a little bit about that. How did it all evolve to be what it is now?
Well, EHRC's founding was back in 2005, and we were actually started so that we could better understand the workforce and labor requirements across the electricity system. As everyone knows, renewables are a bigger and bigger component of that supply. And we have had a consistent challenge in Canada in meeting our total workforce needs across the industry, but particularly in renewables. A number of months ago, I guess beginning of this year-ish, we released a new report. CanRia was actually one of the partners on the research study. It was called Winds of Change.
Winds of Change,
and that's right. The idea, or the fundamental themes of the report were, we have some big workforce challenges in this space. There's some inconsistency in training in the space. So if you're a wind developer, for example, is your wind technician coming out of this college over here? Do they have the same skills as from this college over here? And the truth is, no, they don't necessarily. So often there's upskilling requirements. There are some inefficiencies. I've had conversations actually at ETC with folks who do training in the space. One woman told me, she's been a trainer for a number of years. She has trained the same guy 3 different times on the same coursework for 3 different companies. So it's that kind of inefficiencies that are driving up costs and the ability to deploy in a more real-time way. We know that this is a sector that the retention rates are lower than their peers in the rest of the electricity industry. Compensation tends to be lower. That's something else that came out.
That's surprising.
Yeah, no, compensation tends to be lower than this. And we're still paid better in this industry than other areas of the economy. Okay. But from an electricity sort of utility to
specialization,
right, you've got it. They don't make the same amount. Your total lifespan in a number of the roles might be only 8 to 10 years, where in the broader utility sector it could be 20 to 30. Wow. So there are some real challenges from a workforce perspective. I think the single biggest one though is growth. I mean, it's like I sort of think of it as a bit of a champagne problem. We've only got the world is our oyster in front of us, but that presents its own challenges because we don't have the system set up to turn out somebody who takes 2, 3, 4 years to come to full competency in a role. At least not in the volumes that we need to do the big deployments that we're looking at.
What areas are you seeing the most growth in? Is it solar, wind?
So I would say from a renewables perspective, wind is probably the leader, but you are seeing a number of solar requirements as well. The other big one is actually, it's not specific to any generation technology, it's actually sort of that grid integration management sort of function where you've got, it's actually a tech role more than anything, where you understand and build systems, SCADA systems, that will allow for better grid integration of renewable energy technologies into the grid. The advent of two-way power, so folks like yourself maybe selling solar back to your local utility, that's not something we would have talked about maybe 30 years ago or even 20 years ago or maybe even 10 years ago in a real way. And now utilities are having to grapple with that because the whole system wasn't designed for two-way power. It was designed to have a centralized power facility, transmission down the transmission lines, out to the distribution company, which then sends it out to the community. Now the community is selling back. And that fundamentally changes the whole model.
So you talked about earlier about the inconsistencies of the training. Like, are you looking at standardizations like in certifications or
So we've spent a lot of time on this, and again, this is something that we partnered with CanRia on. I mean, they're the industry association for the renewable energy space in Canada. And one of the things that sort of came out of our conversations, both with CanRia, but also with their members and our members in the renewable energy space, is that we need to do something to standard, or just sort of level set. Like, this is the baseline, right? And so what we started with is an accreditation program. So it's only at the pilot phase right now. But the idea is EHRC has done the heavy lifting of understanding, okay, if you're a wind turbine technician, what do you have to know? Like from a total knowledge perspective, from a total ability perspective, all the competencies, what are they? And we published it in a national occupational standard that anybody can access for their purposes. They're most used by colleges and universities, of course, because that's where they're the ones who are doing the training,
Right.
Polytechnics.
Mm-hmm.
But then we took that and we put it into a pilot accreditation program. So in order to get accredited, like a training institution has to say, okay, we're going to meet the standards of your NOS. Mm-hmm. So that's part one. That's just one piece. The second piece is our trainers have to meet a certain qualification or a certain standard. So that's part two. Part three, the program itself needs to be a certain duration. And then part four, are the facilities conducive to learning the technologies that are required on a given job site? We can't expect that the college or polytech system is going to keep up with the absolute latest and greatest. But the truth is, there are some fundamentals that you can learn with baseline technology and facilities on a given training site. So if they can meet those criteria, our assessors assess. They feed it back to the accreditation board. The accreditation board says this college or polytechnic or training institution is approved, and an employer can know anybody with a certificate from there is going to have what I need, and I'll have a limited amount of upskilling to do afterwards. That's the dream.
Yeah.
That's the pilot. Like, we've got 3 colleges so far, but the goal is over the course of the next year to grow it.
If you were 16 years old and, what would you tell yourself knowing what you know now? What path would you take?
Oh, that's a tricky one for me. I sort of, when I talk about my own career journey, I sort of think of it as a bit of a snakes and ladders approach to career development. If anybody had told me that I could be working as a vice president of programs in a national not-for-profit organization that specializes in workforce development and planning, I would have told them they're out to lunch. I have no idea what that person does. My kids once asked me, they said, "Daddy, what do you do? It looks like you push buttons." They're young, right?
Yeah.
They're 6 and 7 years old. And I told them I make friends and I ask for money. Because I do a lot of business development and I meet a lot of people at networking. Anyway, but going back to your actual question, if I was 16 again, I might very seriously consider a job in either the skilled trades or technicians, technology, that sort of space, just because of the sheer opportunity. Yeah. Salaries are going up. A lot. Even if you were to go into an apprenticeable skilled trade, for example, you're actually getting paid on the job.
That's right.
While you work. Yes, you have your training blocks and that sort of thing, but if you save appropriately, you can actually come out of your 4-year apprenticeship with money in the bank.
Yeah.
How many people who go to university and college can say that? Now, that's not to impugn university and college. We need all of those folks too, right? At the end of the day. But I would probably very seriously consider a skilled trade.
That's smart. I think I would probably do the same too, to tell you the truth. But you need knowledge is knowledge in any way you get it. So it's wonderful.
Absolutely.
So from today's ETC, what are some of the most impactful conversations you're having?
I think it's the optimism. Like, I feel like there's always been a certain degree of optimism in the renewable energy space because it's in sort of growth mode. But I think the messaging coming out of the Prime Minister's office right now, and the creation of the Major Projects Office, and there's a real move towards big projects in Canada. Renewables and transmission actually are probably going to play a very big part of that, and you can hear that in the conversations at the conference. Like, people are very, very excited, very optimistic, and it's just a great opportunity to meet and network with folks that are interested in something similar.
Wonderful. As yourself. It was wonderful. Nice talking to you.
You too, Maria. It was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much for reaching out.
Yes. All right. That was good. Thank you, Mark.
Everything you need?
Yeah, I got everything I need. Is there anything that you wanted to did I miss that you wanted to
No, I think
mention?
that was the key points.
That's good.
Well on,
okay.
Right on, so.
Perfect.